Welcome back to the Blitz Crosstalk. I'm Brianna Dix, joined by my co-host and former NFL scout, Brian Broadus. Brian, so good to see you again. Wild card weekend.
Wild card weekend, and you know what we're going to do today? You're going to lead the show. Okay. You're going to lead the show. When we talk about, you mentioned this, about wild card weekend. Yes. Just quickly, your thoughts about being back in the playoffs for the Cowboys and stuff, and you personally getting to cover a playoff game at AT&T Stadium.
It's just an exciting time. And so when I started out with the Cowboys, I was an intern in 2016, Dak and Zeke's first season.
Yeah.
So, and I can still remember losing in that playoff game to the Packers, watching it in the screen, in the stadium. Yeah, oh my gosh. So, needless to say, now being back, having, new regime in Dallas, and just finally getting to see Dak Prescott being back there. You see the strides the defense has made this season. So I'm just excited to see where this goes. And I don't think it gets any better than the old rivalry with the 49ers as well. So
you're way young to remember this rivalry. I go all the way back to the 70s with this as a kid. And when they used to play at old Kezar Stadium and then Candlestick, and then it's a very historic rivalry because you've had Hall of Fame players from the 70s, from the 80s into the 90s. It's one of those things. You've had Charles Haley be a part of it from 49ers to Cowboys, Deion Sanders be a part of it from Dallas 49ers. I mean, just back and forth with all that. And just all these great players, great coaches. It's one of those matchups that, to me, that you kind of look at and you're excited because of the history of it. But man,
I didn't want the team though.
No, this is tough. And I wanted to ask you this though, as we talk about this. Where do you think this thing might hinge? I mean, because the 49ers they run the ball well. The quarterback is capable of making plays. They got a bunch of players that are interchangeable. Where does this hinge for you this week and what the Cowboys need to do in order to have some success?
For me, this hinges on the chess match between Kyle Shanahan and Dan Quinn. And for me, it's can this defense be disciplined in the run fits, and can you set the edge? Because this is a team, their calling card is running the football. Right. I mean, even down by 17-point deficit against the Rams, they still ran the football. But
you're right about that.
And with Kyle Shanahan, they take the old school approach. They have, a fullback, but also just the athleticism of the offensive tackles. But just in watching this team really over the past week, I've been so impressed just looking at the creativity. Because I mean, they fully immerse themselves in this run game. And it's not just, I mean, they do a lot of the zone perimeter runs, a lot of the counter pulls, the traps, they do a lot of motions, shifts.
Boy, but they also, a lot of film.
I have.
She's not lying, folks.
They also, run it through the tackles. But I mean, this is an outstanding run team. And they do it at a high efficiency, but also, like you mentioned, the versatility of these players. You've got Deebo Samuel, you've got George Kittle. And I mean, both can attack both can attack in so many different ways in their yards after the catch, which the Cowboys haven't particularly done great at. So, I mean, that's to me is where this game
is that where you worry the most is, and by the way, everything you said is absolutely right about Shanahan, the versatility, all that. Is there some concern with you about the Cowboys have struggled? If you look at when you're talking about cornerbacks and allowed yards after catch, Diggs, Lewis, Brown, they're all in that top half of yards allowed after catch. That has to be a huge concern going into this game, especially with the way these guys run after catch.
Yeah, when you look at last week against the Eagles, backup players, JV team essentially, they ran for 94 yards in the first half. And I mean, you look at this week, and I mean, that's exactly what the 49ers did against the Rams. They said, your linebackers and your safeties, they're not good enough tacklers, so we're going to beat you on the perimeter. Yep. And so that's going to be a factor this week, and especially when you look at guys like Trent Williams, who's been dealing with the elbow injury, but he said that there's basically no way he's not going to play in this game. And I want to touch on him too, because, offensive lineman is not exactly always the most sexy position. It doesn't get a lot of credit.
The game might hinge on whichever offensive line does a better job. Yeah.
But wow.
Yeah.
His speed, his power, he's a beast in pass protection, in run blocking, but just the athleticism. This guy, second level blocking, can chase down guys, take care of the defenders on the screens. Yep. Just all over the place in counters.
You think, when you start to talk about the matchup, and we mentioned about the tackling, which could be run after catch is huge for the 49ers, could be a problem for the Cowboys. How do you like the matchup, though, with what, with Williams? You mentioned he's going to play. That's Randy over there. Yeah. Okay, do you see the 49ers? To me personally, I feel like that Lawrence plays the run better at the point of attack than Randy does.
100%.
Do you see? And most teams in NFL are right-handed, and I mean right-handed in the ball. They run their offense going right because of a right-handed quarterback. Do you see the 49ers, because of the matchup with Williams and also with Randy, maybe struggling a little bit with power over there? Do you see them be like, okay, everything's coming left now? Or do you kind of think, nah, Brian, they're going to balance this thing out?
I think they certainly can do that, or at least to start. And Dan Quinn likes to shuffle guys around. He'll move Gregory inside, he'll move Lawrence inside, he'll bring Oso Dezuet to the outside.
Right.
But I think that's certainly something that Kyle Shanahan can start out doing. Yeah. And that's certainly something you see on tape, and that he's going to be keyed in on that.
Yeah,
so
I am so worried about the toss sweeps, the jet sweeps, bubble screens. All that. It's so much, and and you love this because of scheme. You always talk about scheme,
I do.
but the ability to show you a lot of different looks, but but it's a basic play. It's like movement, and then it's a run this way or a toss this way or something like that. I think that's where Kyle Shanahan's. I will say this, though. I do feel like that the Cowboys, the 49ers, they're going to have to block Micah Parsons. Again, you don't need the former scout to tell you that, but that's really where, and I think that we might see Parsons more at linebacker
that's where you need him this week.
Yeah, so you talk about that a little bit. Like you think that Parsons, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say about where you think of Parsons, the linebacker, and how they'll fit this game.
Right. Well, I think with his sideline range, his speed, I think he's the perfect guy that you need in there with Samuel or Kittle.
Right.
Because I think a bigger guy, he's got the speed, and hopefully Jaron Curse will be back this week. All signs, he's supposed to be back from the COVID protocols today, and then the hamstring, he's good to go. Yeah. Or a guy like him, because with these, they can immediately spin out and make a guy miss and angles. But I think with Parsons, that's one of the things he excels at. Right. And unfortunately, you had Jabril Cox that suffered the injury, and that was one of the things that when they drafted him, was the coverage, carrying running backs, tight ends. And I think that's also part of Keanu Neal's game. But I feel like I've been a little underwhelmed with how he's done with that this season. Wow. Yeah. But with Micah, you've seen his ability to do that over and over, where he drops back into coverage, bats a pass, whatever. You saw him lining up a corner with the Kenny Galladay. Right. He just made the goal line against Edmonds. So, this is a guy that can go sideline to sideline and make plays. And I think he's going to be critical in this ballgame. And you need him back there, whether it's on Kittle, whether it's on Samuel, because they've got incredible weapons.
Oh, no, I think you're right. And I don't think our intent here is to make the 49ers sound scary. They're a playoff team for a reason. But you match up well in certain areas. I totally agree with you about, I think you're going to see more Parsons initially when it turns into if the 49ers come out and say, like you were mentioning against the Rams, where they come out and they're committed to running the ball. Mm-hmm. If they come out and it's 14 straight runs, to try and kind of wear you down or whatever, they're going to test the Cowboys front. And I think this is where you need Micah Parsons to be that guy, to be the guy that steps up. Him, Curse, Lawrence. They're going to have some guys really. The physicality of this game very early is going to dictate, I think, which way it goes. But to your point, if you can get San Francisco one-dimensional, and I mean just where it turns into Jimmy Garoppolo having to drop back and throw the ball,
Cowboys win that quick.
Cowboys win that. They do. They win that battle. And then it turns into Micah Parsons becoming a rusher. Mm-hmm. It's not Micah Parsons linebacker. Mm-hmm. It's Micah Parsons the get after the quarterback and cause all kinds of problems for their offense. So,
right. Well, that's exactly what he said this week. When he said first and second down is going to be critical, and then get him in second and long. That way on third down, you can unleash the monsters and they can rush the passer.
No, you're right about that. All right, we've talked about the 49ers offensively, 49ers defensively with. When you look at Bosa
Armstead,
yeah, okay, yeah. How do you feel like? I kind of feel like that if the Cowboys can block their front, Armstead and Bosa and that group, you block this front. I kind of feel like that they can make plays in the secondary. I don't feel like that. I feel like they could throw the ball on San Francisco. I haven't seen. 100%. I haven't seen anything with San Francisco that makes me believe that they're going to just shut you down in the passing game. Their whole plan is to get rushers on you before you get the ball out. But if you block their front, I see that. I see Amari Cooper and CD and
having a big day.
And having a big day. Wilson, Schultz. I see these guys having a big day because I feel like the Dak can complete some passes on these guys. Am I seeing this the wrong way?
No, that's one of the things I've noticed is they get exploited downfield, some of those deep shots, and they also have, I think, the most DPIs also called. So, I think that's exactly where two verticals have Murray going one way, CD going one way. Right. I think exactly. And also, I would like to see the Cowboys be able to create a balanced attack. Their run defense, they've only allowed one team, I think, to have over 100 rushing yards in the past 9 games.
Yeah, it's been, they're 7-2 in those games. So they're playing a lot better football.
Right. Sure. But if they're able to control and establish the line of scrimmage, block well, get Tony to the perimeter, get CeeDee Lamb out of the backfield, mix things up, and then be able to open up the play action, open stuff up downfield, I think is going to be the recipe for this team to have success. And both Mike McCarthy, Stephen Jones have emphasized, wanting to get north of 30 attempts in the run game this week. And especially, there's nothing more demoralizing than being able to smash a team. So
see,
that's going to be.
That's my fear with the Cowboys, that all of a sudden that you don't make Garoppolo play in this game. And we've seen games where, they played Baker Mayfield, where the Browns, I know going into the game, I remember going, got to make Baker Mayfield play. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to make mistakes. And then Cleveland runs for 300 yards. Right. And you're like, oh, well, there's no sense. There's no reason for him to play in the game because that would be my fear. But yeah, I kind of feel like that you mentioned balance. And I think that is really, really the key. If they don't have success running the ball, I feel like, okay, then it turns into the Tampa Bay game plan where it's like, damn it, we're not gonna run the ball. We're just gonna throw it. And I think there's a way to run it with myself. I think Pollard can help you in this football game run it. He's going to be fresh for this game. But I kind of feel like, to me, though, if it turns into just them having to throw, then protect it and go for it. And because I feel like they have to put pressure on this San Francisco's defense. Mm-hmm. And if they could score, they can, keep the thing moving, and kind of wear them down, make Garoppolo have to play in this game, make him have to chase points, make him have to drive the football, make him have to make a good throw. You mentioned it earlier. You've got the better quarterback. And generally in these types of games, the better quarterback finds a way to win the game. So I'm excited about that. But speaking of the quarterback, Dak had a really nice game against the Eagles. Okay.
Yes. That he did.
And so
the whole offense in general.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Are you buying feel good, or are you saying I'm still kind of just wait and see what Kellen Moore's got in store?
I'm a little hesitant, and I think all around that team you have confidence, but at the same time they know. Yeah. I mean, that Eagles team was decimated. You were playing the JV essentially. Yeah. But, I mean, I think you also have to look at, though, what the Cowboys' depth was able to do. You saw Corey Clement. Right. I mean, his one-cut ability, I mean, he was explosive out there. So I think all around it was an impressive performance. But at the same time, you have to weigh, okay, well, it was against the Eagles' backup. So I think this is going to be the true test this week. And I think, too, when I look at the coaching, I look at Kyle Shanahan, I look at Kellen Moore, and I say, okay, who has the coaching advantage here? And I think you have to go with Kyle Shanahan on this one. Yeah. So, that's one of the things. During the Rams game, there was, and I'm sure you can probably remember this, but there was a drive where they ran the ball 11 times. Yeah. 11 times, 12, put Deebo Samuel in the backfield. Yeah. It looked like it was going to be another run. Offensive line did a great job receiving it. Those touchdown passes to Jones. Yeah. And it's like, I mean, just things like that you're like, it's so perfectly executed play design, football nerd over here. But I mean, it's things like that you're just like, wow. But the way that they are able to execute, the versatility they have, the ways they're able to use Kittle, the ways that they're able to use Deebo Samuel, in a lot of ways, it's some of the ways that I wish they would use Tony Pollard more.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, then, all right, let's talk about it this way then. Confidence level in Dak and Kellen Moore. Do you trust Kellen Moore to have something like you're talking about? If you look at Pollard, he's averaging like 3 more yards per run after catch per reception, 3 yards running with the ball in hand as a running back. Why is Kellen Moore allergic to using Tony Pollard like he needs to use Tony Pollard?
Well, 100%. And that's why I have my reservations. Yeah. And I think, too, in this game, you've got to hope that there's going to be more versatility. You're going to you're not just going to be running up the middle. You're not going to be doing screens every third down. Right. But at the same time, he's basically come out and said that I don't really want to stray from what we've been doing, really don't want to take away from what we have done,
don't want to be different. I mean,
But then I think you look at Dan Quinn, and he's the one that makes the adjustments. And I think he's where the excitement level is for this matchup going against Kyle Shanahan, because he's the guy that said all season long, I haven't been able to use my pressure packages. I haven't been able to use all my pass rush stunts, blitz packages.
You had all those guys healthy.
Because you just got all the guys against Washington.
Right.
It was the first time that they all came back.
Boy, that's a great point, because Kellen all year long, with really the exception of the offensive line, and there's been times where he didn't have Amari Cooper.
Right.
And there's 10 times I'm saying all these guys he didn't have. He didn't have Michael Gallup. By the way, real quick, but
Cedric Wilson, though.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is Cedric Wilson been more valuable than what Michael Gallup was? I mean, I love Michael Gallup as a player.
I hate to say it, but the answer is yes.
But the offense seems to roll a little bit better with him in the lineup.
Well, and more so than that, to me, is the trust level. Dak just has a trust in Cedric
Wilson.
Yes.
You trust those guys,
Dalton Schultz, Cedric Wilson. Those are his go-to guys. Those are the guys that he knows are going to get open. But even if you look at their targets, I mean, almost every single one of them is a completion. But, I mean, he has more trust and confidence in those guys than he does in CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is. But, I mean, Cedric Wilson has done a phenomenal job.
Yeah. I totally agree with you on that. To me, I'm kind of interested. I think the reason why Cedric Wilson works is because he can play all 3 spots. Right. And then the offense then the offense has more flexibility because when you play with Gallup, and we love Gallup, don't get us wrong, we're not busting on Gallup, but if you put if you put Wilson in the slot, that means you can move Amari or CD. If you put him outside, that means you can move Amari and CD.
Well,
there's just that flexibility to do different things formationally that makes it work for the offense.
Well, in Lamb and Cooper's defense too, a lot of times they're going against man coverage. They're going against guys, top receivers, and then whereas that opens things up for Cedric Wilson against zones.
Right.
And his speed, like there's no question. He's going to beat the free safety dude, and he has over and over. But I did want to touch on too, going to the defense for the Cowboys. And it's one of the things that I feel like I've thought about this week in facing the 49ers rushing attack. But do you feel like this defense has been built to be pass rushers?
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say play the run.
No. Because I feel like that is how this defense is designed.
Boy, you were this defense is
penetrate.
This defense,
attack.
This defense is built to play with a lead. It's built to attack. It's built to rush the passer. It's built to create turnovers. Yeah. And see, that's the problem that, when you get into the game of games, you're like, if 49ers run the ball and Dallas can't do anything about it, that neutralizes their strength. Right. Their strength is getting after quarterbacks. And I've said it on my radio show all week as we prep for this game. This team is built to rush the passer. Well, look what happened in the Philadelphia game last week. I know it was against, like you were talking about, the JV guys, but when it was balanced, when it was kind of going back and forth, and Gardner Minshew and those guys were, they were running the ball and all that, and it was, the score was tight. It was like, gosh, I mean, it kind of was a little bit scary there. Like, okay, this is just going to go back and forth because the Cowboys don't have a real answer for stopping the run. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden Dallas built a little bit of a lead, then it became difficult for the Eagles to move the ball because then Gardner Minshew became having to throw the ball. And that plays right into the Cowboys' strength. If they get a team that throws the ball, they do a much better job. Mm-hmm. They do a much better job of getting after the quarterback. So to your question, yes, absolutely. This team is built to rush the passer. They need to lead. That's why in this football game, they're going to need their offense to be really successful. Another thing I'll tell you too, Bree, about this San Francisco, just kind of flopping back about the San Francisco defense, they only allow you to run 60 plays a game. They're one of the best teams in the league when it comes to allowing the opponents not to run a lot of plays. And Dallas is one of the best. Yeah, Dallas is one of the best. Dallas runs about 68 plays a game. And, those 8 plays could be the difference in this football game. If Dallas can get that number 68 higher, that's how they win. Because, again, that means you're attacking the 49ers. You're having success. If all of a sudden we look up and the Cowboys have run at the end of the day and they've run 58 plays or 55 plays total, this is going to be a loss. Dallas has got to run plays. And they've got to have. The defense has got to get up. Exactly. That's going to be the real key here. So just your final thought. Which way you think it's going to? You liking the Cowboys in this one? I know I've got the Cowboy gear on today.
Yes, I am liking the Cowboys, but I mean, this is a game that you have to play. You have to be clicking on all cylinders in every, because if you make mistakes in a game like this, you fall behind. Yeah. They will destroy you.
Yeah, I will. So you're thinking the number one thing is stop the run or Cowboy offense to have success? Which one are you thinking the most? You need
stopping the run.
Stop the run first.
Yes.
I like what you're saying.
Because, I mean, if you look at the past, I think it's 11 games for the 49ers. The 3 teams that have beat them are the teams that have kept them under 100 rushing yards. If the Cowboys are able to do that, then
I like what you're saying.
Yeah.
I like what you're saying. I'll take, just for the sake of our show, I'll take the other side of it and say Cowboy offense. Every time you have an opportunity, you can't have 3 and outs. every time you have an opportunity to get points, get points. Now, sometimes kicking field goals is a chore around here, but every time, I mean, to me, no points are bad points. And I know you're saying, oh, great, Captain Obvious, points are important. But in this case is every drive that ends with points, I think is a good thing for Cowboys. I think sometimes they say kicking field goals, it's a bad thing. No. Kicking field goals, scoring touchdowns. The Cowboys have been good in the red zone here lately. Points are going to be huge in this game because, again, you want to put a lot of pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo to have to kind of play along with you. So choke that run, score points. You and I'll come back next week and talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah. Stay tuned for more of the Blitz Crosstalk next week. And this
your
episode,
game today, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You were good today.
And this full episode will be up on YouTube.